right, so thank you for tuning in today to another episode of the Arizona Breakdown. My name is Andre.
Hey guys, I'm Ryan.
And today we are joined by...
Mark with Kardavox Academy and a couple bands.
Hell yeah. So, let's, how are you doing today?
Today, truth be told, I woke up and my body said, you know, this is the best possible day for a head cold. So I'm rocking some cold medicine and a beer to keep things
level it out.
Level it out a little bit. So I would say I'm 80% here.
Oh, dude, perfect. Head cold. We're gonna be going through all of your vocal techniques today. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today.
Here we go.
Yes, from beginning to end, every single one you know how to do.
I dig it.
Little did you know this is like a free session for us. So
yeah. I just got to go to the bathroom and never come back.
There's no window in there, so good luck getting out.
It's got 2 doors though. The bathroom here literally has 2 doors, for anybody wondering why I said that.
Yeah.
So, for anybody who doesn't know, explain who you are, what you do.
Gotcha. So, basically, I just yell a lot. Like, that's the thing. I started off in a band called Kardashev here in Arizona. I've done a couple other projects, but lately, you were one of my first students. So I think that was back in June.
Yes,
I think it was in June. So since June, I've been doing vocal coaching. Actually, both of these people are my students or previous students.
That's when you started doing that?
I will be returning.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I dig that.
Yeah,
That's
same.
when I started doing it professionally. So I'd helped people out just kind of casually back and forth, but like doing it professionally, starting up the YouTube channel.
Dude, you were like on top of your shit when I took my lesson with you. I thought you were doing it for a couple of years.
No, not professionally. No, you were two of the first people I decided to take your money.
Fuck yeah.
And honestly, from like first or second lesson, I was just like, oh shit, like he's been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that.
Everything was so goddamn well structured. Like,
dude, he fooled us.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
wow.
It was all of a facade.
Like, I feel like I should pay you more now, god damn it.
Well, listen, when you come back, if you want to pay me more. No, I'm teasing.
We have video evidence of me saying that, god damn it.
You screwed yourself.
So, yes, Kardavox Academy, which, yes. And then, so, one thing I did want to touch base on as well is a new music project that you have recently,
Well, there are 2, but I'm assuming you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about Viraemia.
We're going to be talking about both.
We're going to be all right. Which one are you alluding to right now?
So let's start with Viraemia.
Okay, cool. So that one is pretty fucking dope. I'm not gonna lie. Essentially, the way that started is Nico, the guitarist in Kardashev, and Josh, the guitarist for Viraemia. They had been friends, talking back and forth. Nico was helping Josh with a lot of recording. And Josh, for whatever reason, needed somebody to do vocals. And he was like, oh, do you want to do vocals on the track? And I just assumed he meant a guest spot. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to do. And then like a couple weeks later, he's like, okay, so like here's the theme of the song. What are you planning for lyrics? And I was just like, what am I planning for what now? And he's like, no, you're going to do the whole song. Like, I'm looking for somebody to be the vocalist of Viraemia. And I was just like, oh, okay. So, Kardashev, which is what I had done, is not tech death. So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to scream about 10 times faster. And I'm going to have to fit a whole lot of words in. And like in Kardashev, it's all like these poetic, flowery lyrics, vague as hell. But glioblastoma, it's like, let's talk about brain surgery. Yeah. That's the name of the track, glioblastoma. And so that was a fucking crazy challenge, but it was fun. And I think the song turned out really well. And we'll see where that goes in the future. I know we're working on some songs right now, but it's different being in a band when you're like in your early 30s than when you're in your early 20s.
Oh yeah.
It's a different process.
Dude, and those 2 bands are so different.
They're very different. They're super different. And like, another thing that I was a little nervous about was that like Viraemia has been around for a while. So there was like this expectation that they were going to do as well as they did previously. Now, instrumentally, I had no worry. I heard the song and I was like, all right, this is fucking dope. This is awesome. Am I going to be as good? Because I was like, I've spent the majority of my vocal career not doing tech death. Yeah. But it turned out pretty well. It's been pretty well received. I scroll through those YouTube comments and people say nice things about the vocals, so I'll trust them. It turned out pretty well.
Damn.
Yeah.
This man is brave enough as a vocalist to venture
comment
into
section.
the YouTube comments. Holy shit.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, we all know that YouTube comments are absolute poison, right? Mm-hmm. We know that they're poison, but at the same time, like, it can give you an idea. If you sift through the people that you know are just there for shock value, you can actually find valuable feedback. You just have to have a thick skin enough to be like, okay, this person who sounds like you're choking on a dick, they're just here to be mean. Yeah. Things like that. Plus, like you and I, collections experience.
Yeah,
we've heard it all.
Yes,
we've been debt collectors.
We've been called every name in the goddamn book. Like, so
I've been boy.
That's cool.
I've got. If I were to write down all the things that people have called me, it'd be crazy. But then eventually, you just kind of forget about it, and that's where you get the thick skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. At this point, like, you can say something about me, it just fucking bounces off. It's just like it doesn't stick anymore.
Yeah.
Like you've got to hit pretty goddamn deep to actually like hit hard. But
I do have a story of when somebody literally made me speechless, though.
Oh.
Yeah. So, well, it's so I was on the phone, and I'm not going to say the word, but I think we can all really tell where this is going. But we're talking, and he's like, I don't want to talk to no goddamn. And then he dropped the N-word on me, and I remember being like, "Whoa!" I didn't think Excuse me? Mm-hmm. And, just for that, he didn't get any late fees waived. I
have a similar story. My phone voice, very similar to my regular talking voice. So to be blunt, I don't sound black. So over the phone, a lot of people they don't quite understand who they're talking to. So I remember I had one guy, and at the end of the call, I'm like, hey, is there anything else I can help with? Do you have any questions for me? And he's like, yeah, so I got some goddamn questions for you. So I noticed that ever since my new mailman, he's black, and fucking, I think him and Obama are in cahoots. I think that's why I'm not getting my statements. And I'm like, oh shit.
So he literally thought President Barack Obama and his mailman were like, you know what, this guy, no statements.
Oh yeah. And a lot of choice language. And fucking I was like, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry, I apologize that you haven't been receiving your statements. Like, I can't really do anything about that. Is there anything else that I can help you with? And he's like, well, yeah, you can impeach that goddamn. And I was just like, I'm sorry, sir, my impeach Obama button doesn't seem to be working at the moment.
Did please tell me that you actually said my impeach Obama button?
Completely serious.
Oh,
yes.
That's
you should have said, "Don't worry, I'm also black. I'll reach out to Obama personally."
Yeah,
we're all in cahoots. Yeah. I'll be at the meeting.
Yes. Joke's on you, dude. Now that I know you're in on it, I'm gonna go tell my best buddy Obama.
That mailman's not gonna be delivering a lot more now.
Oh my god.
But yeah.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. That's
the reason he didn't get his statements. Goddamn Obama. But yeah, collections is always fun. So
that's, I guess, tying it back. Yes, that's part of how I'm able to go through the YouTube comments. Although I do have to say, and this is just the absolute truth, Kardashev and Kardavox Academy, we've always been really lucky in that we really don't get a lot of bad flack.
Well, you guys have communities.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I don't know, people are always really nice, and I'm always just on the other side of my computer, and I'm like, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I don't want anybody to be mean to me. But everybody's really chill.
Yeah.
There's this whole idea, it's not as much anymore, but you hear this idea sometimes tossed around of elitism in the metal community and things like that. Maybe I just live in a bubble, but I've never experienced it. Everybody I've ever interacted with has been just chill.
Well, one thing I have noticed about your fans in particular is you guys really do have a Kardashev community. There is a group of people that just fucking love you guys, and then because of that having such a strong fan base, anytime anybody else is going to interact with your content, it's this wall of people who just love you. So it's just like, oh shit, I want to be super negative, but I mean, fucking that riff was really good.
Well, yeah, I know that like bands say like, hey, we have the best fans, but like sometimes like I legit do think like, damn, we got lucky because we got some nice people. We got some nice people that just want to support us and hang out, you know. I actually still chat with some of the people who have been fans of Kardashev since our demo released.
Yeah.
And that was trash.
When's the Kardashev Christmas party?
Oh, that's tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Did you guys get your invites in the mail? Makes sense because I didn't send them.
Like, wait, I'm missing out.
Together now. Shit.
That actually would be pretty fun if we were playing shows these days. That would be a really cool idea for a show. It's like, hey, we're playing a show, but it's actually like a big Christmas party, and we're all gonna hang out. There's like no separation of like fan and band. Like we're all having a Christmas party, and at some point we're gonna play some songs. Pizza. That would be sick.
Yep.
You need some pizza too.
And some pizza, yeah.
Pizza and beer.
BYOB.
Yeah,
dude, that would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm like kind of into this right now.
Well, dude, like,
I'll go.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
We've got two guests right here.
Yeah.
We definitely will.
Our drummer lives in Canada.
You guys
What
have
part?
Okay, I actually did not know that you guys have a Kardashev, correct?
Yeah, Kardashev. Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys had a drummer now.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
So
Let's talk about that.
okay, yeah, let's talk about this. Yeah, so really super cool guy. His name is Sean. He lives in Canada. I can't remember which part off the top of my head.
What?
But honestly, he reached out to us and he's like, "Hey, I'm a fan of Kardashev. I think because he communicated with Nico more than me. But if I remember correctly, he just kind of wanted some songs to play around on. He's just like, I want to practice some drums. Is it cool if I practice drums on your song?" Which for anybody out there who's like ever wanted to just reach out to a band and say, hey, can I practice with some drums or some guitar or some vocals? Like it's very common actually. And I feel like most bands would say yes. Yeah. And then if you do really well, maybe you'll get a spot.
Yep.
Yeah. So he did, he's doing vocals for us on our, both of our upcoming releases. He's a super cool guy. Super cool guy. He even said like with enough notice he'd be happy to come down for like a festival or a show or something. And I'm like, well, we'd have to start playing again to get enough local clout to get on a festival roster. But yeah, sure, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then we have a bassist now too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we have a bassist now too, like an official bassist. Alex, ex A Distant Calm, current Holy Fawn, is the bassist for Kardashev now.
Sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Dude.
Super cool. Yeah. I guess since we don't play a lot of shows live, we maybe these things to me are like, oh, you didn't know that, and I'm like, well, fuck no, they didn't know that, Mark. But yeah, so things have definitely been going really well. But the Christmas house party, that'd be a little tough to do. We could just Skype him in. We could Skype him in for the
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Well, I mean, you just load up his parts into the laptop, hit play, have him on Skype, just playing along. And
No,
boom.
the bassist is here. It's just the drummer who's out of town.
Well, I mean, could also do that. Just load in his drum tracks and just have Nico hit play.
Backing tracks, that's what they're for. Yeah,
there we go.
Everyone uses them, right?
Yeah. Just get a projector and just have it projecting right where he would normally be.
I don't want to talk about projectors. Projectors are a bitch.
Is there a side story to this?
We just tried to use one and it never like worked out how we wanted. There's no like one interesting story to it. But Kardashev, we tried to use a projector, but like it just we had such a hard time making it work because like some venues are big and some venues are small, and like which projector do you buy? And then like one time we played the Nile, and our projector looked like this tiny little square, and it was just kind of stupid.
For the rear projection?
No, front projection.
Oh.
But we had a short throw projector.
Yeah.
That actually looks pretty nice, but anyway, yeah, there's no like one interesting story with a projector. It's just logistically harder than I thought it would be. That's about it. That's really all there is to say about it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, yeah, I was optimistic and yet worried that there was some long like hatred towards projectors there. So I'm glad that there's no feud between you and projectors. With this, I wanted to quickly take a step back here and just kind of outline the journey for you with your singing career.
Sure.
How did it start and what got you to where you are today?
Okay, yeah. So I'm actually really lucky. I grew up in a pretty musical family. My parents, they were never like professionally very musical, but they just, as people, were very musical. In college, they used to, like they were like hippies. Like I've got pictures of my dad with like mutton chops and like hair down to his shoulders, and my mom with like hair down to her knees, like little flowers in her hair. And just for fun, they used to. My dad would get out his guitar, and my mom would hop in the car, and they would just go to churches around where they lived in like Tennessee and stuff, and they would just play for the church service just because they liked to do it. And they wrote some songs and everything like that. And I grew up around that. My mom was singing in the house all the time, and I was playing the guitar all the time. And so I would sing along. And because of that, growing up, I just got interested in doing things like church choirs and like school choirs and things like that. And so I learned a lot. I learned a lot about singing just from that. And then as far as the metal situation goes, I remember that happened up at NAU. Okay. I'd always wanted to be a metal vocalist. I was the guy like walking around the college campus with the earbuds in, being like, not giving a fuck what anybody thinks, just looking like a goddamn idiot. And Nico and I used to play Magic the Gathering together. Okay. And then one day he was just like, hey, I write metal music. Do you want to scream on it? And I was like, yeah. And so I went up there, and it was so bad, guys. It was so bad. Like my lows were like, but like I owe him a lot because he was very patient with me, and he was like, try again. You'll get there. And so we would just play music together. And then he eventually left NAU. And then anytime I came down, I'd be like, Nico, let's play Magic and record some music. And so, I would practice in my dorm room, or eventually I moved off campus. I would practice in my apartment. And I was lucky because I was doing a speech therapy degree. So I had a lot of knowledge coming to me about like the vocal anatomy, the way that the vocal tract works. And anytime I would come down to Phoenix, I would just get together with him, and each time I was just a little bit better. And then eventually we started Kardashev.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I can talk about that a little bit as well.
Yes, we do want to talk about a little bit of the beginnings of Kardashev. But for right now, we are going to go to a quick commercial break.
Hell yeah. Send us off, Mark.
Cheers.
I did want to talk about the way he says pestilence, because that's a very valuable thing. This is a great example of closing your mouth around a vocal. So nothing's changing here. You're doing all the work with the front of your mouth. He says, and we'll hear it here, but he says, pestilence. You see, I didn't change anything in here. I didn't jut my larynx down. I didn't do anything crazy with my jaw. I didn't put any tension up here. It's just closing around the front of the mouth. Easy peasy.
All right, so we are back. Thank you for sticking with us through that commercial break. So, coming back into it, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Kardavox Academy.
Yeah.
So, I had noticed that you guys took a huge upswing in mid-September, right around the same time that you started posting the Vocal Coach Reacts.
Yeah.
So one amazing thing about the Vocal Coach Reacts series is the amount of just technical detail that you go into when analyzing these different vocalists. So with this, like with the amount of detail that you go into, what's some of the best feedback that you've gotten from the videos that you've put out so far?
Good question. So real quick, I actually have to give some credit where credit's due. The reaction videos were not my idea. So Kardavox Academy actually has a partner. He lives out in the UK. His name is Alex. And so he works as a creative consultant, and he really liked Kardavox Academy, also a previous student. And he actually was like, I've got some really good ideas. Let's partner up. So Kardavox Academy is actually a 2-person team.
Nice.
Yeah. And so the reaction videos, 100% his idea. I can't take credit for him. But yeah, a lot of the feedback that I get is, so I try to make the videos valuable to people with vocal experience, but also valuable to people who are just starting. So I get feedback from people who are just like, hey, I didn't know how to do this really basic thing, and now I'm starting to get it. And then I also get feedback from vocalists who are like, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I could never quite get that tone, or I could never quite get that thing, because I find that because reaction videos, like, let's be honest, it's nothing fucking new. Like that is, and that's actually when my guy Alex, he was like, you should do these. At first I was very resistant because I was like, bro, that's so meta, you know. But he's like, listen, you know, just do it and see what happens. A lot of them, they've got no value. It's just somebody being like, boy, that song was good. And you know, it's, if you're not like a vocalist or if you're not a guitarist or something, well, then that's to be expected. But kind of framing it to not just be a reaction video, but be educational. Yeah. That's kind of helped me give people something a little bit more valuable. And then they tell me like, hey, this has really helped. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. Just knowing I'm helping people and, you know, hopefully teaching them how to do it safely, because you can do it wrong. Yeah. Like that's the thing. Like you can make these sounds, you can make the exact same sound doing it wrong. And I just don't want that on my conscience. You know what I mean? So I think that is a very long-winded answer to your question about what the best feedback is. Yeah.
I like that though. And watching through your videos, like as an extreme novice, they have been extremely helpful.
Hell yeah.
And to kind of play further on the amount of content that you're getting out of a video, like the Brand of Sacrifice video.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. That is at the moment, one of the newest Kardavox videos. And
thanks for the plug.
Of course.
No shame.
And out of a 2.5 minute long song,
yeah,
was that like a 17-minute long video? And
I think it was 17 or 18 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, at the end of it, you had done the shout out to to one of the vocalists in your new community.
Yeah, Roxana. Yeah.
So, like, barring that, that's still a solid, like, 16 minutes of content, 16 minutes of explanation.
Of free fucking information, which is awesome.
From a 2.5 minute song.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've thought a lot about, too. It's like, you know, so I give a lot of information. And actually, so another place where I have to give credit where credit is due, I model my videos quite blatantly on an existing channel that focuses more on pop singing and stuff. This is a channel called Sam Johnson. Super good channel. And in one of his videos, he was like, listen, like, I don't think the knowledge should be held in an ivory tower. I think that if you want somebody there on a Skype call helping you, then here I am. But like for me, I kind of took that and I was like, well, you know, I don't want people to have to pay for safety. Yeah. Like I don't want people to have to pay for vocal health. So when I do these videos, some people have said I give a little bit more than I should, but at the same time, like, yeah, like I don't want people to feel like they don't know what they're doing. And then if they do need my help, if they do say, you know, yeah, like I want someone there listening to me in real time, telling me what I'm doing wrong or telling me what to tweak, that's where the lessons come in.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest part. Like, that's being able to be on a call with you. Mm-hmm. That's what you're paying for. Yeah, like 100%. Because like you're saying, you can learn a technique from a video that you watch that you're doing. Mm-hmm. Be like, okay, let me try it. But you don't get the full effect until you're working with somebody.
Yeah,
someone with instruction to say, you know, hey, try this. Right. Don't do this. Try that.
And at the same time, it's enough information to get you into the general realm of where you need to be, though.
Yeah.
Like, and that, like, one of the, I remember we had a lesson where you had just said, like, just, this is easy. Just tell yourself that this is easy and just keep that in mind. And that skill, that lesson actually transferred over to my guitar playing. And now every time, absolutely. Every time I'm practicing since that lesson, I go into practicing with that mindset. This is easy. This is something I can do. This is a culmination of other skill sets that I have. Like, that is something that was really reinforced by having lessons with you.
Hell yeah.
So,
see, I can help people with guitar playing too. Oh my God. That is not true. Do not come to me for guitar lessons because I'll be like, I can play the first 2 seconds of an Opeth song.
Yeah, now we're talking.
And I'm going to mess it up the first 5 times, and then I'll get it sort of right. It'll be really slow, and you're going to get a lot of fret noise, but I can do it. You know what I mean? Well, that's good, man. That's good to hear. Yeah, you know, and that's one thing that I actually run into a lot is that a lot of the time, like people get really hung up on like, well, what individual muscle should I be moving in here? And it's like, I can say like, oh, this is your cricoarytenoid cartilage. But what does that mean to anybody? It means even me who knows what it is, I can't just like be like, oh, here I go. I'm going to move it X degrees, So it's more about being like, I've been using my vocal tract as many years as I've been alive, so I know how to use it. I just need to use it in a slightly different way. And there are different ways that I have to describe it, but usually once I help a student kind of get over that mental bump, that's where a lot of the progress starts coming. Assuming they're practicing at home, outside of their lessons.
You should be looking at me when you say that.
No, you made some progress too, but like I have luckily not had to deal with that. But if you go into a lesson and then you don't practice one bit outside of it, like not even once, like it's like, well, save your time and money. You know what I mean?
Dude.
But I'm glad I helped you with your guitar playing. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Mark the motivational speaker. It's really what their next channel should be.
Yeah.
And do you need help with your lawn care?
Mowing the lawn is easy.
Just go into it with that mindset. It's easy. You'll get it done.
Video done. That'll be $15.99 a month.
Hell yeah.
So, also, what are some of the most requested songs you've had since starting to do the series?
Great question. So, for a long time, it was anything by Slaughter to Prevail.
Oh, yeah.
Alex Terrible, of course, with his lows and things like that. I also get a lot of Deer and Gray.
Really?
Yeah, I get a lot of Deer and Gray as well. But the way that we do it right now is it's vote based. So on the Kardavox Academy community page, I actually put a poll up, which I need to put up the poll for this week. And then people vote on their songs, and then I pull up that song, and that's the one I react to. Luckily, so far, it's been a lot of deathcore, which is in my wheelhouse because almost everybody who's a deathcore vocalist is false chord. You get a little vocal fry in there sometimes, but not a lot. But I know someday it's just gonna be like, hey, this fry vocalist, and I'll be like, all right, that's not my specialty, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best.
I was gonna say, what genres of singing do you think would be the most challenge for you to sit down and analyze?
So it would probably even like clean singing would be easier for me than vocal fry or fry screaming because I understand the mechanism of fry screaming. Like I know how it works. I could tell you how it works. I could even hear and tell you that you're doing it right, but I don't do it myself because, full disclosure, I don't love the way it sounds. It's just personal preference. So I've spent my whole life not doing that. And so that's part of the reason that I don't teach it, actually, is because I just have a policy that if I can't do it myself, like I'm not going to just be like, pay me to teach you how to do it. I just feel like that's kind of like an ethical quandary. So someday I would like to start teaching vocal fry, but I also find that there's this real demand for false chord because there's not a lot of it out there. There's not a lot of instruction on false chord out there. So, if I was to get a song with like a bunch of fry vocals, like a lot of metalcore, you hear a lot of fry vocals, then I'd be like, well,
guess we're gonna be doing it.
And it's tough too because in the videos, even if like I don't necessarily do like that specific vocal technique as well as the vocalist I'm reacting to or breaking down, I do it myself. And the purpose of that isn't just to make it entertaining, but it's also to be like, I know what the fuck I'm talking about, right? So I would be like, this is how the vocal fry works. And then I would attempt to do it. And I'd be like, that sounded like crap. So I don't know if like the first one was a vocal fry video and the second was a false chord, I might even go for the second one just to make it actually valuable versus watching 20 minutes of a guy being like, I
think there's even less fry instruction than there is false chord that I've looked up and found personally. And it seems more elusive.
For fry screaming?
Yeah,
that might be true as well. So there are some areas for fry screaming. All right, we got to talk about something real quick. So there's this idea, and it's not necessarily wrong, but that like metal vocals exist on like a binary scale. You got your fry vocals and you got your false chord, and there's nothing else. But like, for example, a lot of like Slipknot, like yelling, like that sort of thing, you can build that on top of a fry scream as well. Or like there's a YouTube channel, 10-second songs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Great channel. Love that channel. And he talks a lot about building like your rock yell on top of a fry scream. Actually, he did a video that I really loved, where he worked with an opera singer. That was really cool. And then you were mentioning that you actually met her. I think usually when people really want to learn a lot about fry scream, I usually refer them to Mary Z, voice acts. I usually refer them to her channel because I've watched a lot of her videos, and I think that for fry screaming, she's probably the best resource on YouTube. Yeah, in my opinion. There are other people out there, but I don't know. I think she breaks it down pretty well.
Okay, gotcha. And so also, as far as YouTube goes, do you have any big goals for the future when it comes to YouTube?
So that's a great question. It's hard to say because like you said, it's been a huge upswing that I didn't really anticipate, and that I'm still trying to manage. I spend most of my day being very behind, very behind. But I mean, I would love the channel to continue to grow. One thing I want to do is to make the reaction videos a weekly feature, just like they are, but find time to do some other stuff, other things. So like, I would love to do more instructional videos. I would love to do like interviews with some of the vocalists that I break down, because the other thing about it is like, while there is a safe way. That's a grocery
down the street from here.
That's a grocery store joke, folks. While there is a way that is safe to do your vocals, the way that you like articulate it and the way that you make the sound and everything like that, there are multiple ways to do that. Especially since everybody's head and chest and all that is shaped a little bit differently. So like, for example, gutturals, there's a main way to do that, but a couple people might do it differently. So I think it'd be cool to get some of these vocalists on and be like, hey, so this is how I do it. And they'll be like, oh, I kind of do it this way, you know?
Do I smell a vocalist podcast?
I think it would be pretty cool. It'd probably have to be over Skype or something because, you know, most of these people don't live in Arizona, at least that I've broken down so far. Like Alex Terrible's in Russia. But it'd be cool. It'd be cool to coordinate that somehow.
I would definitely watch you sitting down and just talking shop with like
and that's literally what it would be. It'd be two vocalists talking vocals, and I'd probably learn some stuff too, which would be really cool. The last thing I would love to do is get some more black metal on the channel, because as like, I love deathcore. Deathcore's great, but like at the end of the day, I probably listen to this much deathcore, which is, let's say, 25%, because if somebody's listening to it versus watching it, I'm using hand gestures here. 25% deathcore, 75% black metal.
Oh shit,
yeah. Black metal's more to my taste, so I'd like to get some black metal in there because that would be good.
Speaking of
black metal,
I feel like you have another project.
I do. Yeah. So this project is a weird one. So let's just be absolutely clear. We started this project, which is called Never Breath. Why is it called Never Breath? Because we came up with it in like 5 seconds. We started this after seeing Belphegor. Me and Nico went with some friends to see Belphegor, and we were like, we want to do that. So whereas Kardashev is like very intentional, very calculated, we try to make it just like as perfect as possible. Never Breath is like, let's just write some fucking black metal. So Nico pumped out all 10 songs in probably like 2 weeks. And we had like an agreement where it's just like, we're not going to overanalyze these. Boom, we're just going to do it. And I'm actually going to be recording vocals for about the first half of the album this coming Saturday.
Hell yeah.
This coming Saturday is the 14th.
Yes, we're going to go with that.
It
is it.
It is it, yeah. And then we were going to have 2 vocalists, me and my sister, but but unfortunately, she's single mom of 2 kids, and she just basically was like, I'm just too busy. So
she's too cool.
Yeah, she's too cool for school. She's actually the one who got me into metal in its entirety. Yeah. She got me into metal. She introduced me to black metal, and so it was a cool idea to have her on there.
So she really is too cool.
She really is too cool. Yeah. So we're still gonna have her on a guest spot or something, but it'll be just me, and then maybe for the next album we'll find a vocalist.
Damn, you weren't joking about the very musical family.
Yeah. Yeah, she got me into it. I remember I was listening to like, and no hate, I still really like Metallica. I was listening to like Metallica and like thrash metal. Yeah. And then give me fuel, give me fire, give me fuel, give me fire, yeah, baby. James Hetfield, what a goober. But then one day she's like, "Hey, I got this album from a friend of mine. It's called Necrophagist," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, fuck yes!" And I was just like, "That's gonna be hot garbage." And I listened to it, and for the first couple weeks, see, that's the thing I feel like is very common with people who like get into metal. They listen to it and they're like, "Fuck, I hate that," and then the next day they're like, "I'm gonna listen to that shit again," and they're like, "This is terrible," and then 3 weeks later they're like, "I'm in love."
Yeah.
I hated Necrophagist at first, and then I think it was Epitaph. Yeah. Which album is the song? And I don't know off the top of my head, so it's okay if you guys don't. But with Diminished to Be.
That's I'm pretty sure that is Epitaph.
I think it's Epitaph.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diminished and Be.
Yeah. You know a Necrophagist fan when they're just like bum 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 bum. Yeah. And
still waiting on that third one there, bud.
Yeah.
Where you at, Mom?
Yeah, actually, I heard that and Half-Life 3 were recently confirmed.
So, okay.
I just took it back to the early 2000s.
Cite your sources.
I can't.
Half-Life 3 actually might be coming with the next generation of software, though.
You're seriously falling for this. This joke has been going on for like 10 years.
No, this one is legit this time.
Heard that before, folks.
Oh my God. Yep. No. This one actually came from Steam.
On April 1st?
No, not on
right.
This was recent.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to find my goddamn sources for this, and nobody watching this video will care.
Your source is like 4chan.
Yeah, right?
Your source is 4chan.
Some dude behind the alley told me that they're going to make a Half-Life 3.
Guys, it's a green text. It actually happened.
Oh, my God. I did hear it on the internet. Yeah. So it's definitely true.
It's definitely true.
That Muhammad, the third album for Necrophagist, is done.
Yeah.
And he's just... there's no drive to like do it. Like, he's got an engineering career.
Yeah.
So he's like, eh.
So there was that Metal Sucks article that picked up traction where some dude spoke with Muhammad and was just like, I've got that done. I just have no desire to do this anymore.
Right.
Well, if it's done, bro, just put it on CD, baby. It'll show up on Spotify.
Yeah, but now it's like entering Dr. Dre territory to where it's been too long and now you release it and everyone's like, first couple days, fuck yeah, Dr. Dre, and then okay, we're done with that. Yeah.
I feel like, it could go one of two ways. Like, it's been so goddamn long at this point that the expectations for a third Necrophagist album were so goddamn high, nothing could ever.
Here's what you do. I've solved his problem. So, Muhammad, if you're listening, I've solved your problem.
You know he is.
I know he is. Oh, he texted me before this, and he's an avid listener.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, we're like this. No, but you purposefully release something awful, just bad, and then a week later you're like, just kidding, this is it.
That's what Suicide Silence is doing. I took that shot.
Damn.
Speaking of shots.
That tequila.
You know what? I stand by that because I loved Eddie and All Shall Perish, and I do not know what happened with the not the most recent Suicide Silence release, but the release before that. I just don't know what happened there.
I'll give him this. He decided to try a bunch of different stuff.
Yes,
and that's a thing that you can do.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it definitely was.
Yep. Yeah.
And whether or not that thing went well, the internet got to judge that.
Yeah, well.
And the metal community is really accepting of new things.
Yeah, by the way, I was totally that elitist that you were talking about earlier.
You motherfucker.
Oh, absolutely I was. If it wasn't death metal, you could just please move along.
Yeah, you can shove off there, buddy.
Or black metal.
Dude, did you have one of those no clean singing phases?
Yes.
Same.
Yeah. That was after I left Newfound Glory.
Well, I was worried. I was nervous about that when Kardashev started singing because I was like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Mm-hmm. Luckily, it went well.
Yeah.
But I was nervous. I thought people were gonna.
It took me a while to get into like Tesseract and stuff because I was like, riffs, awesome. Clean singing, fuck off. And then I listened to it for a couple more weeks and I'm like, okay, it's tight.
What's your favorite Tesseract album?
I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm I'm an Altered State guy. I can't help it.
Okay. I actually never really got into Tesseract that much.
I've listened to like some of the songs throughout the years. Mm-hmm. Never got deep into the
I'm
catalog.
not like a huge Tesseract fan either. I just specifically that album, especially the I think Kalabi Yao, the song with the saxophone, unreal.
There's a song with some saxophone. I'm gonna have to check that shit out.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's Tesseract's best song. It's instrumental.
The one that turned the corner for me was definitely Scar Symmetry.
I can see that.
Yeah. I was like, damn. Pop hook vocal lines, kind of like on top of death metal.
That's
I'm
my
like,
shit.
Yeah, it's pretty good. The old stuff before Christian left or got kicked out. I don't know. Whatever.
Whatever happened.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, though, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
Bye.
We are back, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that commercial break. I'm sure it was some thrilling content.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Ryan, what do you think of it?
If you don't like it, I don't care. You can just frick off, Rick.
Yeah, deal with it.
Well, I mean, I didn't know I needed to be the nice guy on the podcast.
You have to. I'll be the bad cop. I like being the bad cop.
So we had touched base previously on the beginnings of your musical career here.
Yes.
One thing, were there any specific eureka moments that over the course of the years that have stood out for you?
Honestly, not really. Oh. And being in bands yourselves, you know that like sometimes what the public perceives as a eureka moment is something that you've just like been busting your ass off for like years, and they're like, how did that come out of nowhere? And you're like,
it didn't.
We spent way more money than we should have for 3 years straight, so as far as like eureka moments, I would say no, but there definitely have been some like milestones that I think about really, really frequently. And I think the main thing was when we got Jim from Aegean, James Martin, to guest spot on our album Peripety. I think that's one of my favorite moments because so we'd been working with him. He reached out. He was like, "Hey, I like your band." And this is an embarrassing story because I was like, he reached out and he's like, "Hey, man, I like your band." And I was like, "Thanks, dude." And his picture was an alien on Facebook at the time.
Hell yeah.
And James Martin, that's not like Trevor Strnad. That's not a one of a kind name. Neither is Mark Garrett. It's a very standard name. And so I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he's like, "Yeah, it reminds me of my band." And I was like, "Oh, what's your band?" He's like, "Oh, it's this band called Aegean." And I was just like, I remember sitting there and being like, fuck. I really just did that. Yeah. I really just did that. But so he lives in Indiana, and we had sent him the track and he was going to record, but he was having a hard time finding a studio. So finally I was just like, on a whim, I was just like, "You want us to fly you out here and you can just chill?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, let's do it." Funny story, that's his first time on a plane ever in his life.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we picked him up and he hung out with us for like 3 days, stayed at our house, and we just did vocals, drank beer, talked on the back porch. That's probably, I think, some of the most fun I've had as a musician ever, because he's a super chill dude, super chill dude. He was down for whatever. And I remember, it was crazy. So at the time we were living in this tri-level. And so my roommates were Nico, who's in Kardashev, and then Alex, who's our bassist now, who's in Holy Fawn, Buddy Riley, who draws really cool stuff on Instagram, and then briefly Tyler, who is in Never Breath. And Nico had the whole bottom level, and there was this little Harry Potter room that we called the womb, because we had a bunch of soundproofing stuff in there, and a bunch of and lights, and I don't know, it just looked kind of womby, whatever womby looks like.
Room.
Yeah, and he's like, "Okay, guys, well, I'm gonna go in there and warm up," and we're like, "Cool." And I closed the door, Nico closed the door. I was up on the 3rd level, and he just lets out his Jim from Aegean roar, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And it was fucking crazy, and it was really cool too, because not only did he just throw down tracks, but he was like, "Hey guys, I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, but I think the song needs this. And I was like, you're right though. Like we should change the lyrics to this. We should change the metering to this. So his parts on the album, it wasn't just like I've written something, you track it. He like collaborated with us, and fuck, dude, that was a good time, man.
Yeah, that's how you know they care.
Yeah,
he's really nice.
Yeah, super cool dude. So if anybody sees them play a show, he's a super cool dude. Totally approachable.
Was he the vocalist before the vocalist who's currently in the Faceless?
Yeah, so he was the original vocalist, and then he took a break. Strangely enough, after hanging out with him for a long time, I don't really know all the details. He was just like, yeah, I took a break. And I was like, word, man. Yeah. All right. And then he came back a couple years ago, which I think was a good move.
Yes.
We actually had a really good conversation too. He's like, yeah, a lot of people push me to do highs. I really feel like I should stick to lows. And I was like, well, what makes you think that? And he's like, well, if you're good at something, like, you don't need to fix it. He's like, that's what I try to tell people. And I was like, that's actually a really good like mindset. Like, and that's something that I try to convey to people too. It's like, you don't have to be able to do every type of vocal out there to be a good vocalist. Like black metal, for example. We love black metal, but black metal vocalists usually have 1 to 2 vocal styles.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, that's again, very long winded, but that was probably one of my favorite moments. Just chilling with Jim, eating some Denny's.
Oh, fuck.
See,
we were like 5 broke guys in a tri-level, and that was the agreement too, because we couldn't pay him anything, which he of course didn't ask for any money. He was like, I'll do it for free, and we're like, okay, well, we'll fly you out. And at the time we were on Subliminal Groove Records, and they helped us out a little bit. We'll fly you out, we'll pay for all your food, and you can stay here. So if we're buying your food, we're eating at Denny's, bro.
Grand slam it is.
Yeah, you're getting a grand slam.
On that musician diet.
Yeah. He's a big guy, so he went for the lumberjack slam.
So, also, oh, dude, I've also done that same, what band are you in? Except,
let's hear it.
I did it to the dude from, one of the guitarists from Beyond Creation.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Oh, dude, like, not much of a cool story to it, but like we were hanging out behind Club Red after for the Beyond Creation Algorithm tour, the Arizona stop for that tour.
Yeah,
and we had opened that, and I am just hanging out behind the venue, and I was, if I remember, I think I was hanging out with Nate Bigelow or someone else, and somebody comes up to me, and they're like, "Oh, hey, man." Kind of a French Canadian accent, and I'm like, "Oh, dude, like this guy seems awesome. Let's talk to this guy." So we're just hanging out, and we're talking music a little bit, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm assuming you play tonight, right? What band are you in?" And he's like, "Oh yes, my name is Kevin. I'm from Beyond Creation." And I was like, "Oh, the headliner! I should know this." Yeah.
Well, admittedly though, like I've had it happen before where you see somebody on stage and with the lights and the sweaty hair and running around, and then you see him in the crowd and you're like, how is it you look entirely different?
Yeah.
So understandable.
That, and I feel like these days, off topic, I feel like these days there is a little bit of a disconnection between the artists and the music, whereas beforehand, it was, I personally feel like there was better branding between the music and the story behind it. So you really got involved with the artists and you knew their faces. These days, I mean, I don't know if it's because all of the information is so readily available that it's not necessarily, people don't necessarily want to compile it, or maybe people aren't thinking about it that way. But I feel like we don't get as attached to the bands themselves organically. Like there's a lot of, I feel, me personally, I'm in a couple like Facebook groups, like the Artisan Era, that label, they have like a whole Facebook community for fans of bands on their albums.
That's cool.
And like for shit like that, I start to get to know who the artists are because like I'm interacting with them every day on Facebook.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like because of the amount of information that's tossed to us, like unless I seek out that information, it's not going to just get reinforced in my head like it used to be. That like this band, this music video, put them together, like remember these faces and these names. Like,
I think a lot of it as well, those are really good points, but I think a lot of it as well is that our intake of music is much more passive. You know, so I'm not anti-Spotify myself. I know that some musicians don't like it. I have no problem with Spotify. I actually really like it. Same. I pay for premium. What y'all know, what y'all know about it?
Donate that 99 cents.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, you know, Spotify builds a playlist for you, and then you're driving in your car and a song comes on and you're just like, I like that one.
Yep.
Don't like that one. You don't even see the band name. Yep. And so it has to really stick in your head to be like, okay, I got to find that song and see what the band name was, because we're not looking at our phones while we drive.
That's right. Shouldn't be anyway.
Yeah. So I think, and you know, also like a lot of people, they put on YouTube channels or playlists or podcasts and they put them on passively while they work, and I think that's been a blessing and a curse, because now there's more patience for the long form. Right. So you've got like podcasts that are 2 hours long and viewership is lasting through the whole thing. But then the downside of it is that you oftentimes don't, like you said, connect with the band or the members or the things.
Yep.
And I think that's part of it too. Not really a point to any of that, but that's what I think.
No, I think it's very valid. Yeah. I'm going to stick up for a whole possible subsect of people, because where I'm coming from on that is, growing up listening to music, I didn't really care what they looked like or who they were. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to listen to the music because it enveloped me in such a way that it was, if I really liked it, it was an emotional experience.
Yeah.
So I would connect to it on a musical level. So I never really cared what the fuck they looked like or what their names were or anything. I just knew I liked that band, and I memorized the song names.
Yeah.
And I knew what track number that was on the CD.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's how I knew those bands.
On the Discman shoved into your jacket pocket that's not too big?
I usually tried to hold mine so it was nice and still as I ran.
Oh, yeah?
Dude,
yeah.
Mine was shoved in my jeans.
Yeah.
Like fucking somehow fit in there, and just every step just...
Yeah, see, that's why I held mine.
I used to with I think it was my right pocket, I used to like purposefully tug to like bust a few stitches so that the Discman could actually get in there.
Yeah.
And then you were so pissed you had to walk a very specific way so that the album didn't skip. So you're looking like a pirate walking down the street.
Yep, bro. That's where the Jinko jeans came into play.
That must be what they're for.
Yeah, I never wore them, but
with Jinko jeans, you probably also had a big enough pocket for your CD book. I don't remember what the term for that was, but you're like before you leave the house, you're like, okay, I gotta load this up with CDs I want to hear today. And then the worst thing ever was when you're not in the mood you anticipated in the afternoon. You're like, I don't have any fucking music for this. God damn it. I should have brought this CD, but I brought this CD. I brought Disturbed. I wanted System of a Down.
Dude, Linkin Park lived in my Walkman for about like a good year straight.
All of us, man.
Yeah.
All of us.
Dude, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, Toxicity.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. Toxicity. That's
System of a Down. No,
okay.
That right.
I thought you were saying Toxicity is Linkin Park, and I was like, you're a poser.
Yeah. My whole, it's a facade. I am a liar.
Is your name even Ryan?
I still think that those old System of a Down albums, they still hold up, though.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really listen to Disturbed anymore. I don't listen to Linkin Park anymore, but every once in a while, I still put on System of a Down. I'm like, fuck, this is good.
Dude, I still want to see them live, and I'm so happy they started playing shows again. Like I thought that was something that I thought I just missed that experience just being too young.
Well, what with the Rage thing? You think you're gonna go check that out? Because I loved Rage as a kid, but now I'm like, I'll go see it, but I hope it is as impactful.
Dude,
I was never as into them myself.
No?
Same.
I love Rage.
Same. Bulls on Parade and Killing in the Name of. Those were the two songs that
I like that song.
Yeah. I was one of those fans.
The bass guitar, though, on those records is like huge.
Mm-hmm. I only remember Killing in the Name of, and then I don't remember the song title, but it's the one where he ain't got no family, but a pocket full of shells.
That's Bulls on Parade.
Yeah. Say I don't got no family, but a pocket full of shells.
See, we are that same fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, we're all posers.
Yeah. I like Meshuggah. Bleed's really good.
Yeah.
You know.
Wait, are you being facetious?
No, legitimately, I don't listen to a lot of Meshuggah. Okay. I don't listen to a lot of Bleed either. So.
But you're in a progressive band.
Am I? I don't even know.
Oh, speaking of, let's go. Okay, so I actually wanted to pick your brain a little bit when it came to lyrics, just in general.
Okay.
So for the almanac, what went into just in general?
Okay.
Yeah, what source did you use?
Cite your sources.
Cite my Well, I got two really good friends, Merriam and Webster.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we chill a lot.
Sounds English.
Yeah, well, we did the whole thing in Oxford,
Oh, wow. Who are you?
Dad jokes for days.
Yeah. So the almanac. There's. Okay, so
Farmer's Almanac.
So. Yeah, that's a weird title in and of itself. But so the basic story of the almanac, it ties into our demo. And it also ties into not Peripety, Excipio. I'm forgetting my own album names here. But basically, we have to talk a little bit about Excipio before we can talk about the almanac. So in Excipio, there's this story of a space station because space bands were big back then.
Yeah,
don't hate me. That's what we did. And basically, there's a space station, and this being gets found and grown in like a lab, and then basically comes to life, and he's like super smart, and he's sort of like the youngest. He's an ancestor of humans, but he's also like 4 or 5 days old, right?
Baby Yoda.
Baby. People are mad that Baby Yoda is saturating the internet, and I love it. I love it.
Why are you mad about that?
He's just, if you don't like Baby Yoda, you don't like me.
Some people,
and I've never even watched The Mandalorian.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Listen, I'm just not paying for another service, all right?
Dude, after this, I'll shoot you the Disney Plus password.
Yeah, right.
Just sell me $7.99.
No, I'm not paying for it. But essentially in the story, he builds for them a piece of technology called the Kiliagon, which is supposed to be like this infinite source of power, but also can be used to like jettison people across the known universe, right? And then he dips. He's like, well, and there's actually in the digital version of the almanac, there's the letter that he wrote to the doctor who grew him, who he views as his like mother. And he dips because he like wants to learn more stuff. And so the almanac talks about his story while he is traveling through the galaxy and through the universe, both through time and space. And it's basically just like I wanted to have. Because he knew a lot of stuff about like mathematics, a bunch of like really high level like scientific things, which I don't know anything about. That's why you write your lyrics vague. Oh, the beer's getting to me, folks. Oh boy, you write your lyrics vaguely. So in the almanac, I wanted him to learn more about like the human experience. So Beyond Sun and Moon is, Between Sea and Sky is a story about like just the feeling of impatience. Like that's it. He's having to deal with impatience. And Behind Leaves and Vines is about like seeing beauty and understanding that beauty is fleeting. So that song is literally just about walking through woods, seeing a deer drinking water, being like, damn, that's really pretty. I want to get closer. And then the deer leaves and he's like, God damn it. Like that's what it is. That's what the song's about. So it's more about like, there are multiple types of knowledge and intelligence and things like that, and he was basically learning like the human experience, and that's the story that it tells. And then in the last track, Beyond Sun and Moon, he learns that like he basically deals with the concept of self-importance. He left home and he just assumed that when he came back everything would be the same, but it wasn't. Like it doesn't talk about exactly how much time has passed, but he comes back and the station's abandoned, everybody's gone, and he's like, oh shit, like I'm not the most important thing in the world. When I returned, all life came and went without me. Yeah. And so that's like the end of the album. And then it's bookended with two conversations. Well, it's really one conversation split into two. And so at the end of the almanac, the character who we call Kent blasts off into space, and that leads into like the next portion, which we can talk about as well, but I just talked for a long time, so we can talk about that as well. But
can you just make it a book?
That's what I'm going to talk about.
Oh shit!
Oh my god. Okay, well we're gonna be right back, and we're gonna dive straight into that then. So
all right, let's do it.
Cool.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back, motherfuckers.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, let's just pretend there was no break there. What were you saying about your lyrics?
Yeah. So at the beginning and the end of the almanac is kind of bookended with this conversation. That the being who we playfully call Kent, Alpha Centauri, Alpha Centauri, that's the reason we call him that. He doesn't have an official name, but he's having this conversation. So at the end of Beyond Sun and Moon, he hops onto the Kiliagon and he blasts to wherever the last known location was, because he's got nowhere to go. And so he basically ends up on this planet and he's speaking to this being who is like biomechanical, who is referenced in the song in Excipio called Continuum. The end of the song Continuum talks about this guy. And so it's their conversation. And so I made like a language for them to have. And that conversation between the two of them is basically that biomechanical race's creation story. It's like in their mythology. So I'm actually writing a mythology book that is a really slow process. Yeah. But it has English on this side, Alanea, the language I made, on the other side, and that's why it's a slow process, because I'm trying to translate it.
I forgot how to drink water.
Yeah, you did. Get it. But that's basically all there is with that. It's basically just it's interesting because that race is, or that being, whatever it would be, their creation story isn't like, this great being did anything. It's this being that found consciousness meeting this other random being, and it's just like their conversation, and like that's the beginning of their like mythos.
Super fucking sick, dude.
And that's what it is.
Do you think that are you hoping that future releases will also continue this story, or is this something that
we want to do one more? We want to do one more to kind of cap the Kardashev story, and I would like to do that whole album in the language of Alanea, which that's a big task.
Whoa.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens.
At least a song.
At least a song. Would be sick. Yeah, and it would be cool, but the other thing as well is that the language would then have to be written for music, so then it wouldn't be quite as natural, which already it's pretty simple. Like if there are any conlingers out there and you look at Alanea, you'll be like, this is like the most basic shit ever, and the answer to that is yes. But it would have to, because you listen to a section, and as a vocalist, well, at least me, I find the pattern that I want first. So I know I want to go bop bop ba-da-ba-da, ba-ba-ba-ba-ba, and I'd be like, okay, now I have to make grammar and syntax and everything to fit that. Yep. So we'll see if it happens, but it'd be cool if it did.
Dude, that's sick though. Like, oh my God, my inner nerd is just like,
yeah. Well, I'll give you one little jib about how the language works, just because it's kind of fun. So the language, because I wanted it to kind of be somewhat musical, and this isn't unique to Alanea. There are languages out there that do things similar. It makes words like the meaning of the word, the definition of the word changes by how long or short it is. So the first word in the almanac in that bookend is uone, and uone is their word for distance. But he says uone, which means far. And if he was to say uone, that would mean short.
Dude, that's sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you say the word for me, I think I changed it, but the word I remember is iye. But so if you say iye, you're saying like you're referring to yourself very professionally. Like if you were to do that in an interview, you would say iye. Or like if your mom catches you with your hand in the cookie jar, you'd say iye. You're like, I feel small. I feel small. So iye versus iye. And then just buds around a table, you would just say iye.
Dude, that's sick.
Wow.
That's kind of like the thing that it builds around.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the grammar, just because I didn't want to get too crazy with it, is just ripped from like, Spanish or whatever.
Yeah.
Because we had an album to release.
Yeah. Well, you're building a language, just gotta make
no
it
big
quick.
deal.
People say that I built a language, but really what I did is I created a list of like 200-ish words for the album. So like there's not actually a full language out there if we're being technical about it.
Well, I mean, it's the building blocks, though.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's enough that the Kardashev community could also just, flesh out the remainder of the language based off of
the blanks. Hell yeah, there we go.
So,
but that's the lyrics. I'll stop. I could go on for hours about that, but that's the lyrics in a nutshell.
Dude, hell yeah,
that's intense.
And so as far as the other projects go, so with for the Viraemia songwriting process, did you write the lyrics for that?
So yes, I did. I wrote the lyrics for Viraemia. I had nothing to do with the actual musical composition, which in Kardashev I do. Not as much these days because I've stepped back and the music's gotten better. yeah, so glioblastoma, that's the song name, which is like a brain tumor. That whole song was written by the time I showed up. And Josh, he's a nurse, right? That's what he does. And so he's like, oh yeah, just, write about this. And so like writing Kardashev lyrics is like, it's like you feel like you're writing a fantasy story, like you're writing poetry. Writing glioblastoma felt like I was writing a research paper and writing it badly, because I was just like, all right, I'm just going to look at the symptoms and try to make it sound metal. That's it. But it was fun too, because like, rather than thinking like about like all these like lyric and connection things, I was like, how disgustingly can I say this word? Yeah. And so it was a hell of a lot of fun, but it was very, very, very challenging. Yep. And I just know that when Josh is like, all right, I've got 5 more songs, I'm going to be like, okay. Yeah, I'll just, okay.
I guess I'm just gonna have to bust out some more textbooks.
Yeah. It'll just be up your friend's Webster.
I'll just be at the ASU student library and they'll be like, do you go here? And I'll be like, no.
But do you have a book on hemorrhages?
Yeah, listen, I need to know everything I can about hemorrhages. Yeah. I'm in a band.
Yeah, I brought a hammer. Please sit down.
Yeah. All right, here.
So how has it been being in Viraemia? This, like, you remember?
Yeah. So it's very different than being in Kardashev, because like I said, like Viraemia, I'm coming into late in the game, and also like Viraemia, like our bassist is in Australia, our drummer is here in Arizona, but I don't really talk to him or anything. And Josh is a full-time working nurse, so he and I communicate actually not very much. He and I have talked about wanting to be like more active, but with like building a vocal coaching business and like being a nurse, he's also like trying to start a workers union for his job. So he's a busy guy. So it's a lot more like incremental updates from each other, and like, hey, I need you to do this part. Hey, I need you to do this part. And after glioblastoma, it's kind of like calmed down a little bit. But he's writing more music, and so there's definitely like more Viraemia coming, but it's going to be a slower process probably than like your traditional band is.
Oh yeah,
that's what happens when you have careers.
Yeah. It's like we're not like late teens, early 20s anymore,
Right.
Yeah.
We still want to make music, but we have to like, respect the bills.
And you need the money to, fund that music.
Yeah. That's true.
God damn.
And family as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I would like to spend time with my fiance sometimes, in fact, after this vocal coaching thing, like I've had a lot less time to spend with her. And so now I like to have to really like actively carve out time, not because she's like hounding me, but because, we're getting married because I like her.
Right.
So I think she's kind of neat. So it'll be like 3 days.
Not an arranged marriage.
No, it'll be like 3 days, 4 days where we barely talk, and I'll just be like, I miss you. Let's go get coffee.
So, let's spend some more time on vocals. Let's go back to Kardavox for a second.
Yeah.
Are there cool things in the works for that you can talk about at the moment? Like,
yeah. So I've mentioned already the guy that I work with. He and I are working on a bunch of plans that are top secret. But the things that I can talk about, I do want to get more segments going on the YouTube channel. Like I'd like to get interviews with some of the vocalists that I've talked to. That'd be fun. I've talked about the black metal. I'd like to get that on there. But I'd really like to get something built to where I can help students who I don't have time to give lessons. Yeah. You know what I mean? So some sort of resource for them to reach out to, where I can help them even if I don't have time for a lesson. Yeah. I've thought a little bit about the idea of like having a way for students to like upload vocal clips for me to review, because that takes a lot of time. Yeah. So creating an avenue or a space for that to happen would be pretty neat. But that's all still pretty up in the air right now.
Yeah.
I feel like some of your YouTube fans are probably gonna say like, "Oh, why is there not a Patreon?" Is that something that we're able to touch base on?
Yeah, we can talk about Patreon. So I've gone back and forth on the idea of a Patreon. And Patreon, I mean, I have no problem with the Patreon platform myself, but the thing about a Patreon is you're essentially giving yourself more work. Yeah. You're building yourself a second job because people are giving you money. They want to get value back. And it's true that you can build a Patreon, which is like, hey, you like my YouTube channels and you just want to support me. In that case, why not just have them PayPal me donations? Yeah. And you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I also like I just straight up don't have the time to make Patreon exclusive content. It doesn't exist, you know. So instead, what I did, this was also my buddy Alex's idea, is I made the Kardavox Academy Facebook page, so I can hop in when I want. Well, I would like to all the time, but I can hop in when I can. And then it's just this big community of vocalists sharing clips with each other, giving each other feedback. So it's kind of there running itself.
Yeah.
And then when I have time to jump in and throw some feedback to people, it is free. You know, I didn't want to necessarily keep that sort of thing, or like voting on the videos. I didn't want to put that behind a paywall.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to be like, you know, what's the company? EA, who does that all the time?
Yeah.
Ubisoft, EA, one of those types of things.
All of them.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to do that. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. And then eventually, once I get like a website put together and a different type of platform, I would just kind of like all the transactions to exist there.
Sick.
Not have a bunch of things flown around.
Yeah. And I mean, that would be amazing to have like just all of Mark Garrett in one place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of me to go around.
Yeah, you can't get enough.
I can't get enough.
I think the other big point we need to touch on too is that you don't do just metal vocals.
That's true. Yeah. So most of the lessons that I do are metal vocals because there's specifically false chord vocals because there's not a lot out there for it. But I do have some students, you for example, who mostly we focused on singing. Because like I'll just be transparent. I think singing is harder. You know, like if I do a low vocal or a high vocal, like there are things you have to think about, but I can't be flat.
Yeah.
I can't be sharp.
Yeah.
Right. But with like singing, you have to be on pitch. Where's your resonance? How's your tone? Are you doing it properly? Breaths, but like all these things together. Singing is way harder, in my opinion. Yeah. Not to say screaming doesn't take skill. I mean, it takes a lot of skill, but there are just more pieces to the puzzle with singing, I feel. So I do help students with that, but that's not a lot of the demand that I get. You know, most of the people, they're just like, I want to sound like a toilet bowl. And I'm like, you're in the right spot, bro. Yeah.
See, like I've fucking, when it comes to singing, clean singing, I kind of felt like it's a very precise laser where you have to be, you've got to make sure that the flow is steady. It's all coming from the same place.
Yeah.
And it's hitting that exact same place. But when it comes to screaming, it's a fucking cannon. Like to me, at least, it just feels. And in lessons, you have used this term that screaming is. To simplify what you said in the past, screaming is more athletic singing. And like
in a sense, yeah. I think
a very condensed version.
I think of screaming. This is kind of contradictory, but I think it's true. I think of screaming as the like extreme sport side of vocals, which just means we have to be careful.
Yeah.
But also, screaming when done properly is a very relaxed activity. Yeah. So it's kind of like those two things existing at once. Like people who scream really, really well, and you see them scream. Michael Ackerfeld is a good example. He would just be up. He's just standing there. You know, he's just standing there. He's not going crazy. You know, you don't see veins popping out on this guy's head. He's chilling. He's letting his vocal anatomy do what it needs to do and nothing more.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of both of those things at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the emotional part for singing is actually really huge too, because you can do a metal vocal.
Yeah.
If you're doing a guttural, for the most part.
Yeah.
If you're not 100% into the emotional aspect or whatever, it'll sound relatively the same.
Right.
But for singing, if you're trying to convey a message, it has to be convincing.
Exactly, and that's actually a technique with singing too. Is associating an emotional anchor to like a certain technique. So like, so that's like a thing. So like, if you're trying to sing in the front, like on your hard palate, you might associate the feeling of the buzz of the hard palate with a certain emotion that feels strongly that you feel strongly, and then so like those two things kind of hit at the same time, or you can maybe sort of think about feeling joyful, and that helps you hit that frontal space. That's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And with metal vocals, like they inherently sound angry and aggressive, and so it's kind of, you're right. Like I see what you're saying. I totally agree. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. So hire him for both singing and screaming.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just
if you want. But the other thing is with singing though, like I do like a very like singing is also really different as well, because like if somebody comes to me and they're like, oh, I want to sing arias, I'm not going to be your best guy. Because I use some like breathing technique from the classical realm of things, but like I'm not a classical singer, right? So there also have been times when people reach out to me and they're like, oh, I want to sing, arias usually, like I want to do classical singing. And I'm like, honestly, like you should go to like a school that has been built for doing that for like years and years, and these people have degrees.
Yeah. Right.
But if people just want like basic singing that they can put into their metal songs or something like that, that's more of an area where I'm able to help out.
Yeah, I think that's really huge though, that you're able to like let prospective clients know that, like, hey, dude, I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's where you should go. And that's the biggest service you can give to somebody, is to say, I can't help you with this, but here's someone who can.
Yeah.
Or here's a direction where you should go.
Yeah.
You know, it's so much better than saying, no, sorry.
Well, and that's a good thing too, because the main satisfaction I get out of it is seeing people be successful, and sometimes somebody's going to be successful with somebody else.
Yeah.
So that's the best place to put them. Like seeing you bust out that badass low today.
Oh gosh.
That was just like, yes.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. He did a really good low. He probably won't do it now, but he did a really good low. You,
exactly that.
You motherfucker.
It's red light syndrome.
Pretty good.
Thanks. That's all thanks to him. Before it sounded like a cat in heat, probably.
Well, it's not all thanks to me though, because you put in the work.
Yeah,
you practice the things that we worked on, so things. Yeah. So it's not all to me. It's
but the understanding of the processes and the way to get there.
We'll call it a team effort.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, also, it does, like, having a good teacher does make you want to practice.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So, yeah, I will. With me, I do practice, but when I was like taking lessons with you, I was just like, oh shit, okay, this time has to be for singing. Like, I need to set this time apart. Like, I can't disappoint Mark.
Yeah, you don't want to. How could you? Look at that face.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that. You can see that on YouTube, Kardavox Academy, if you just subscribe.
Yeah. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe.
Click like and subscribe.
That's like the 21st century.
Yeah.
Fucking, you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but
words.
So where can we catch you online?
So the best spot is the YouTube channel.
Yes.
I try to use the community posts a little bit to kind of like put out updates and things like that. But the best place to like see like the content, like the reaction breakdowns and stuff, is on YouTube. And then beyond that, I mean, I have an Instagram, but that's a lot more casual. That's a lot more like me just chilling, being a guy, being a dude. Just a bunch of dudes hanging out. Duder. Just being a duderino. But yeah, I mean, that's like really the main place. And then every once in a while I jump into the Facebook community page, Kardavox Academy community, and that has blown up. We've got close to 1,000 members now.
Hell yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, again, I have to give some props to my boy Alex, because not my idea.
Yeah. Well, it takes a village.
Yeah,
to do anything worth doing.
It's such a team effort too, and he's actually been involved. I'll give him a plug. I'll pass the plugs on, but he's actually been involved in creating some pretty cool projects. So he had a hand in creating the band Sleep Token.
Oh shit!
Yeah, he had a hand in that, and he's doing this like huge project called Sockweb. So I don't know if you've heard of it, but Sockweb, it was a band that this young girl named Joni did with her dad, and then her dad unfortunately was the victim of a suicide, and so he's helping her totally free build this huge epic album that's like a continuation of their project to like bring her a little bit of closure.
Oh, good.
And there's
So
like
sick.
and like the story is her and her imaginary friend when she was a kid, which was a wolf, like going through like these like fantasy worlds and stuff. Yeah.
So sick.
And
Hell
he's collaborating with a lot of really cool people too. So
These fucking Brits. Am I right?
yeah,
Am I right?
We're awesome.
yeah. But yeah, so he's a super cool guy. He's working on building a website and stuff, but right now he just does consulting work on recommendations. But
Very cool.
Cool guy, great ideas.
I just realized out of context, like nobody has any clue what the whole the Brits comment was. So just quick, secretly British. Don't have the accent, but I'm secretly British.
You worked on that, which I'm disappointed. He would have been way cooler with the British accent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nah.
Tell that to fucking
You said you moved
me.
here. You said you moved here when you were 12, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you had plenty of time to lose the accent then. Yeah.
Because kids were dicks, and then I decided to teach myself how to speak with an American accent. And my girlfriend is very disappointed that I have an American accent, and a lot of my friends think I would be cooler with a British accent. But you're just gonna have to accept me for me.
No, we're gonna get you real drunk to be, so that accent comes out. You're the you we want.
Yeah, it comes back out when I drink. So
British Andre 2020.
Yeah, that's what I want.
So, also, real quick, your music projects. Where can everybody catch those?
Oh yeah, so if you want to listen to Kardashev, honestly, Kardashev, the best place is probably Spotify. Honestly, we have a YouTube channel where you can see our music videos. Kardashev Band, Viraemia, probably Spotify as well. We've got Facebook pages for both of those. There's not a lot out with Never Breath yet. Okay. That we have an Instagram, but right now that's in the baby growth processes. So really for Kardashev and Viraemia, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube for Kardashev if you want to see like videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well,
and a little bit of Twitch.
The
glioblastoma.
That video's on YouTube.
Yeah, so that's on Slam Worldwide was nice enough to post that for us. That was really cool. Thanks to those people. So you can see glioblastoma, the lyric video, which we didn't want to spend any money, so I made, and it looks like I made it. But I put a video of a brain surgery in the background, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's on Slam Worldwide, and you can watch that, and that's pretty cool too.
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of really nice feedback on there as well. So
good.
It's been a good journey.
Fuck yeah. Well, do you have any parting words for any fans that made it through to the end of the video?
Thanks for watching the whole thing, because if you're a YouTuber, it actually really helps when fans watch the whole video. So if you watch the whole thing, thank you for that. Also, thanks to both of you for having me here. I know we talked about me coming back. I definitely want to come back.
Yeah, especially for Never Breath. We gotta, as soon as that thing starts taking off, black metal.
Oh yeah, get the black metal. But yeah, just thanks for supporting my various projects and keeping me motivated even on my down days. It's interesting. And that's another thing too. Here's a parting thing. If ever you wanted to just reach out to one of your favorite bands and be like, hey, nothing really serious here, but I just really like your music. Like, there have been times where I was having the shittiest day ever. Like, I deal with a whole slew of mental illnesses. I'm running that gamut. And so sometimes, like, on your darkest day, somebody's just like, hey, I really like Kardashev. And you're like, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I really needed that today. So don't feel like
that's awesome.
If they're like a super big band, they might not be able to respond to you. Don't take that personally. But like, I don't know anybody who doesn't like seeing that sort of stuff. So if ever you're like, oh, I shouldn't reach out to them, like, do it. Just do it.
And just know there's a good chance they'll see it.
Yeah.
Positivity for the win. Thanks for coming, dude.
Thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah.
With your nasty peanut butter porter. Cheers, you freak.
See you next time.
Thank you for watching. This has been the Arizona Breakdown. My name is Andre.
I'm Ryan.
And we are out.
Many thanks, much love. We're out. Bye.
I played bass for a little while when I was like in 4th grade, just with my brother, him and my dad. We would jam. And then I realized